Alright guys, in this video, before I continue, I'm going to actually, it's the, this method of coding HTML is going to get a bit too complicated for our eyes, if you know what I mean. Imagine having a lot of this code and you actually manually searching through it, searching and modifying things. What we need is an IDE, and I'm gonna go ahead and open up this in an IDE. Okay, we don't really code in Notepad, that's what I mean. Okay, we code in an IDE. It's called an integrated development environment. Okay, so the IDE that you can use for coding in HTML can be something like Notepad++. So something like that, Notepad++. Okay, you can see it's Notepad++. You can use that if you want, but I'm gonna be using Visual Studio Code, so that is VS Code. Okay, and it looks like this, and I'm going to be using that. Now if you want to download VS Code, you can just go to this website here, VS Code. You can go click download and download it for yourself. Now I already have it downloaded, so I'm just going to come in, and here I've opened up VS Code, and I'm going to take my, actually not this folder, I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna say VS Code, and I'm going to drag and drop this file in it right here. Okay, my index.html, and you can see that VS Code has actually color coded my HTML tags, so it has separated the HTML from the actual text, and that's something I really like about VS Code and any code editor essentially. Actually not any, but most. Okay, so you can see Notepad doesn't do that, so this VS Code does it. Alright, and there's a lot of other features as well, so we're going to be coding in VS Code. I'm not going to use Notepad, so let me close that down. And now let's do something which is that, by the way, when you're working in web development, what you want to do is you want to use split screens. Split screens is like you're going to be splitting the screen, so on the one side you have the browser, and on the other side you have the editor opened, like VS Code. VS Code is the editor. So the way to do this is got to press the Windows key, or if you're on Windows, and then you're going to press the right arrow. Alright, so if I press right arrow, Windows plus right arrow, so you can see it's fixed to my right side of the screen. Now I'm going to open up the browser on the left hand side. Okay, so it was this browser. I'm going to just select it, and you can see it's opened up. Now we're using split screens, and this is going to help us a lot, so we don't need to go and minimize, maximize. Alright, so we can just see our changes right here and there. Alright, so HTML is a language for web development, right? True. Now what is HTML? So the next thing we're going to see in, let me just take this out. Alright, the next thing we're going to learn about in HTML is the heading. Alright, headings and paragraphs. So if I say title, alright, I'm gonna say heading 1. Alright, and this is my heading. So if I refresh this, you can see that it actually does it heading 1, and it does it in the same line, despite me having, like, a line, this on a new line and this on the previous line. This is actually on the same line. Now why is that? Well, because HTML, the browser reads HTML like that. What you want to do is actually put heading 1, if you want it to be like, how headings appear on a page, as opposed to normal text. Headings are bold, they have like a different font size, they have maybe a different font size, and they have a different size, right, and also a font type. So that's what headings, that's the dichotomy between headings and normal text. So what you need to do is you want to use the heading 1 tag. Heading 1 would look like this, h1, and like that, and you can see that VS Code actually automatically puts the end tag for me as well. So what I just need to do is I want to just cut that, put that between the heading 1 and heading 1 closing tags, open and closing tags. So if I save this and I refresh, then you're going to see that this is actually formatted as heading 1. Isn't that awesome? So that's just about headings. Okay, that's simply headings, what they are. Now HTML also has a number of other tags, like this is h1, meaning heading 1. You can say h2, you can say h3, you can keep going until h6. Okay, so h5, and then we get h6. So if I go h7, you'd actually see that there's no h7. So the difference is that heading 1, like, I mean, if you use Microsoft Word, you would know that the biggest and the boldest heading out of all of them is heading 1. Okay, so if I just say heading 1 and I just go ahead and just copy all of this in there, alright, and just give me a moment. Okay, I'm just gonna say heading 3, actually 4, 5, 6. Okay, and if I save this and show you the difference between all these headings, and if I refresh, you can see that this is actually how these different headings look like. In fact, heading 6 is actually smaller than the normal text. Okay, and a good convention is that you don't leave normal text just dangling like that. You also want to put normal text in a tag. Okay, so since HTML is a language for web development, okay, it's a paragraph. So in HTML there's a tag called a paragraph tag. Okay, it's a P, it's an open P, and it's a ending P. Alright, so we just go ahead and we're going to put this one in that. Alright, HTML is a language for web development, so we have the paragraph tag. Now if I refresh, you can see that we have something on our web page, and that's basically the difference between h1 and the paragraph tag. And by the way, we have this in the body, alright, because the body is where you have your actual text, okay, that you want to see on the viewport. Alright, so that's the headings and the paragraphs.